Hey everyone, welcome to Journey into Insight. Your mind is running on autopilot, and it's keeping you stuck. What if 23 days could completely reprogram it for success? Listen carefully. Because what you're about to hear is something most people spend their entire lives searching for, yet never find. It's not motivation, not luck, not talent. It is the one thing that silently decides whether you rise or whether you repeat the same year of your life over and over again. It's the thing that separates people who keep struggling from the ones who break through and finally change their lives. And here's the twist. This thing is already inside you. It has always been there. You just never learned how to switch it on. Today, in this 23-day challenge, we're going to do exactly that. But before we begin, I need you to imagine something. Your life exactly as you want it to be. Not the filtered version you show others, the real dream. The one you avoid thinking about because it feels too far away. Hold that image in your mind as we begin, because over the next 23 days, we are going to reprogram the machine that shapes every decision you make, every habit you keep repeating, and every result you get. Your mind. Most people think success starts with motivation. But motivation is like caffeine. It kicks in fast and dies even faster. Real success starts where motivation ends. Inside your subconscious mind. That hidden system running below your awareness is responsible for 95% of your thoughts, habits, reactions, and decisions. Think about that. 95% of everything you do happens automatically. And the scary part, you didn't even choose most of those automatic programs. They were downloaded into you by your childhood, your environment, your failures, your fears, your disappointments, the people you listened to, and even the things you watched. So if you ever felt stuck, lazy, unambitious, or just not the successful type, it's not because something is wrong with you. It's simply because your subconscious mind has been running an outdated program. And the good news is, a program can be rewritten. That is exactly what this 23-day challenge is designed to do. Not by forcing success from the outside, but by rebuilding you from the inside, where it truly begins. There's a famous idea in neuroscience known as neuroplasticity, the brain's ability to rewire itself. This isn't spiritual philosophy, it's physical, measurable, biological reality. Every time you repeat a thought or action, your brain strengthens the neural circuits associated with it. That means your habits, your fears, your self-doubt, your productivity or lack of it are not personality traits. They are simply circuits you've fired repeatedly. If you think you're not confident, it's not because you were born that way. You just haven't fired your confidence circuit often enough for it to become your default. If you procrastinate, it's not a moral failure. It's just a path your brain has traveled too many times. And here's where the magic happens. A repeated thought becomes a belief. A repeated belief becomes a behavior. A repeated behavior becomes a pattern. And a repeated pattern becomes your identity. So, if you want to change your life, you don't start with goals. You start by changing the identity your brain believes you are. But how long does it take to rewrite identity? Research says 21 to 30 days of consistent repetition is where neural rewiring becomes visible. That's why this is a 23-day challenge. Long enough for the brain to change, short enough for you to complete. Before this challenge begins, there's something important I want you to understand. You are not broken, you are not behind, you are not too late. You are simply running patterns that no longer serve you. And whether you live in the US, Europe, Asia, or anywhere in the world, modern life has conditioned you to be overstimulated, overwhelmed, and underfueled. You have information but no clarity. You have dreams but no direction. You have potential but no pattern to activate it. So before we go forward, let's erase the myth that success belongs only to a special group of people. Success belongs to anyone who learns how to reprogram the mind. And that's what we're doing now. Imagine waking up tomorrow with a slightly upgraded version of your mind. Nothing dramatic. Just a 1% shift. You wake up with a bit more clarity. You feel a bit more capable. You approach your day with slightly more direction. Now imagine doing that again the next day. And the next. Compounding. Layering. Reinforcing. Day by day, your brain begins to expect success instead of hoping for it. That's what reprogramming feels like. Not fireworks, but transformation through quiet, powerful consistency. You won't notice huge changes on day one. In fact, the early days might feel almost too simple. But what's happening underneath is extraordinary. Inside your brain, neurons are connecting. Old connections are weakening. Your internal narrative, the voice that whispers your limits, begins to fade. You become someone who doesn't just want success, but someone who behaves like success is natural. During these 23 days, you'll be breaking patterns you didn't even realize you were trapped in. Take your morning, for example. Most people wake up and instantly check their phones. It feels harmless, but neurologically, what you're doing is training your brain to become reactive instead of intentional. You're allowing random digital stimuli to hijack your dopamine pathways before your day even begins. The result? Anxiety, distraction, low focus. In this challenge, your mornings are going to change. For the next 23 days, you start your morning with one simple question. What would the successful version of me do first? Not what feels comfortable, not what is easy, but what future you would choose. And that one question begins rewiring the decision-making part of your brain. Now let S talk about the enemy you will face during this challenge, your old identity. The old you isn't going to disappear quietly. It will pull you back with old habits, old excuses, and old emotional patterns. You'll hear thoughts like, I'll start tomorrow. One slip won't matter. This isn't working. Every single one of those thoughts is just your old neural circuits fighting to survive. The brain loves familiarity, even if that familiarity keeps you miserable. So, when resistance shows up during this challenge, and it will, that's not failure. That's the signal that your brain is changing, and your job is simple. Don't negotiate with the old you. By day 5 to 7, you'll start to feel slight differences. A little more clarity, a little more discipline. You may find yourself saying no to things you usually say yes to. Your impulses will lose their power. You'll start catching yourself before falling into old reactions. And this is crucial because self-awareness is the first sign your subconscious is rewriting itself. Around day 10, something deeper begins to shift. You start thinking differently. You start feeling differently. You'll notice that problems you used to run from feel easier to face. You begin acting like the future version of yourself, not the past one. You speak differently. You walk differently. You make decisions with more intention. And this happens because you were no longer choosing from a place of fear or habit. You were choosing from a place of possibility. Let me tell you a secret. Most people who say they want success don't actually want success. They want comfort with a sprinkle of improvement. They want change without discomfort. They want new results with old habits. That's impossible. There is no growth without a little discomfort. But discomfort is not pain. Discomfort is the feeling of your brain expanding. And the moment you learn to associate discomfort with growth instead of danger, your life changes permanently. That's what the challenge trains you to do. Feel the discomfort and act anyway. Your brain is always listening to you. If you say, I'm tired, it believes you. If you say, I'm not disciplined, it reinforces that identity. If you say, I can't change, the brain doesn't argue, it simply obeys. So during these 23 days, I want you to speak to yourself as if you are coaching someone you deeply care about. Imagine you had a younger brother, sister, or friend who looked up to you. Would you tell them they're useless? Would you call them lazy? Would you say they'll never make it? Of course not. So why talk to yourself that way? The way you speak to yourself becomes the way your brain programs itself. Every word is a command. Here is something interesting about the human mind. It doesn't care whether a thought is helpful or harmful. If you repeat it enough, the brain will believe it. That's why people who constantly talk about how unlucky they are continue to attract more misfortune. Their brain filters the world to confirm their beliefs. It is a psychological bias called confirmation bias. The brain looks for evidence that matches what you believe. So if you believe you're not capable, your brain will show you reasons why. But if you believe you are capable, even before you fully are, the brain will shift your perception, your behavior, and your opportunities. That's why this challenge begins with belief. Not the fake, positive thinking type, but belief backed by repetition, action, and neuroscience. Let's talk about your environment. Your brain is shaped by what surrounds you. If you're around people who complain all day, your mind becomes a complaint machine. If you're around people who never take responsibility, you will slowly become someone who avoids accountability. If you live in a noisy, chaotic, overstimulated digital environment, your attention span will shrink. That is not weakness. That is biology. During these 23 days, you will become extremely aware of what you consume, not just food, but media, conversations, music, and even silence. Everything you consume programs you, so choose carefully. As you limit the noise, your inner voice becomes clearer, and that inner voice is where your new identity grows. You will also experience moments where you feel a sudden wave of clarity, almost like seeing yourself from the outside. That's your mind waking up. That's your unconscious patterns becoming visible. When this happens, don't run from it. Observe it. You are not your thoughts, you are the one watching them, and when you observe your thoughts without reacting, you break the automatic loop. This is metacognition, a powerful psychological tool that allows you to choose your thoughts instead of being controlled by them. Imagine this 23-day challenge as a journey where every day you redeleting a piece of the old program and installing a new one. Day by day, you're becoming someone who takes action even when it's uncomfortable. Someone who keeps promises to themselves. Someone who knows what they want and isn't afraid to chase it. Someone who doesn't wait for permission. Someone who doesn't fear failure. Someone who is no longer controlled by the past. Now let's talk about something almost nobody understands. Success is emotional, not logical. You don't fail because you lack information. You fail because you cannot regulate your emotions when it's time to act. Fear stops you. Doubt stops you. Overthinking stops you. Laziness isn't a lack of desire. It's emotional overload. Because when your brain feels overwhelmed, it shuts down motivation. This challenge trains your emotional brain to stay calm under pressure, focused when anxious, resilient when tired, and you'll learn to sit with uncomfortable emotions instead of escaping through distractions. When you discipline your emotions, you become unstoppable. By the time you reach day 15, your brain will feel different. Not because your life has changed dramatically yet, but because your internal world has. You will catch yourself automatically doing things that previously required effort. Waking up earlier, saying no to distractions, starting tasks sooner, thinking clearer, making healthier choices. This is not motivation, this is identity. You're becoming the version of you who succeeds because success has become your default operating system. You'll also notice that people around you begin reacting differently to you. Maybe they treat you with more respect. Maybe they become curious about your changes. Some may even feel threatened by your growth because your transformation reminds them of their stagnation. Don't let that stop you. Growth often reveals relationships that were built on your smaller identity. And as you rise, some people will not rise with you. That's not your problem. Your job is to evolve, not shrink to maintain the comfort of others. Think about your future for a moment. Imagine waking up 6 months from now living a life that feels like it finally matches your potential. That version of you already exists. They are not imaginary. They are simply waiting for you to make the daily choices that lead to them. Every day of this challenge is a conversation between your current self and your future self. Every time you take the harder choice, the future you moves one step closer. Every time you avoid the distraction, the future you becomes stronger. Every time you show discipline, the future you becomes real. By the time you reach day 20, you are no longer forcing new habits. They are forcing themselves. You don't need motivation. You have momentum. You don't need pressure. You have identity. You don't dream about success. You embody it. And when day 23 arrives, something powerful will happen. You will look back and realize you're not the same person anymore. You'll see that you've built a brain that works with you, not against you. A brain that prioritizes growth over comfort. A brain that chooses discipline over distraction. A brain that expects success instead of avoiding it. This is the moment where you finally meet the version of yourself you always knew you could be. Not the one shaped by fear, not the one shaped by failure. Not the one shaped by your past, but the one shaped by intention, by repetition, by vision, by identity. And from that moment forward, success is no longer something you chase. It becomes something you attract, something you live, something you are. Your 23-day challenge begins now. The old mind has served its time. It's time to build the mind that will carry you into the life you deserve, the life you were meant to live, the life you're finally ready for. Let's begin. You've taken the first step on a journey that will shape the way you think, act, and succeed. Remember, real transformation doesn't happen overnight. It builds quietly, neuron by neuron, habit by habit. Keep following the 23-day challenge. Stay committed and watch your mind become your greatest ally. And if you found value in this journey, subscribe and hit the bell, because together we'll explore more ways to unlock your potential, rewire your brain, and live life intentionally. Your mind is powerful, now it's time to unleash it.